Hey guys, welcome back to another clip of Schach-manuel-lernen. Today with a new tournament, the Engadiner Pfingstopen. So I played another weekend tournament in the hearts of the Swiss Alps, to be precise in Canton Graubünden. And yeah, the first round I was favorite, so I played with the black pieces against a weaker opponent. And before we start, my microphone has a technical issue. That's why I change, and apology in advance if the sound quality is a bit worse. So he started with e4. I played a Sicilian attack. Then d3. It's existing, but it's not the most aggressive way. That's why we just played some development moves. And after bishop e2, I thought, okay, let's trade the queens, because I know I'm probably the stronger player in the end game. So knight f6, knight to c3, a6, e5, knight to d5, and now knight to e4. So this constellation is quite interesting, like white wants to jump inside black's territory or capture the pawn here long term. So I played b5 with the idea to develop my bishop like that and rook like that. And then to my surprise, he immediately played this move, and it's quite clear I need to capture, recapture. And now, in long term, this pawn will fall, but we still need to be careful, because let's say if we play immediately this one, he has a check. If we capture, we run into a fork, actually, on f7. And if I capture, he can recapture, and then suddenly this pawn is protected. That's why I played first f6 to stop knight to e5, then short castle, bishop b7, c4. c4 is quite interesting approach, because otherwise I can play c4 by myself and then go with the king to d6. So c4, capturing, knight to d2, which allow knight to e3, because this square is not defended anymore. And after knight to e4, I captured there. It was a tactical pattern. Like, he also could have played something like this, but then, yeah, he doesn't really have anything at the end. And yeah, I'm quite happy with a pawn up, right? So he decided to sacrifice the exchange, but in return he can capture here, and my knight is anyway trapped. So I calculated here as well, and I said, okay, I don't want to play that passive, because then suddenly this pawn can be quite some tricky, especially with moves like this, and I wanted to avoid that. So I decided to castle longside, and after d7 I said, okay, I give the exchange back. And now I'm still a pawn up. However, he asked for compensation, the bishop pair. So I played knight to b4, bishop e3, rook c8, bishop d2. It's a bit weird playing from my opponent. Knight to d3, bishop c2, bishop e4 to protect the knight and also to be on this diagonal as well, like b1 to h7, bishop c3, e5. Normally you don't open the center when black has the bishop pair, but the idea behind e5 is that I have a pass pawn that can run in long term. So he captured, I recaptured, then he captured on d3. And now it's not really easy to play. Like, we have to avoid the rook trade, because otherwise the bishops are opposite colored, and this is very high drawish chance. So I played king e6, rook e1, rook c5, rook e3, e4. So now this bishop is cemented here. And again, long term, I want to run. It's not easy, but we have to try something, right? So g4, the idea is to stop rook f5, rook c7, rook f7, now king to d5. You always have to be careful, like if you want to infiltrate white's position, white has a nice counterattack you can just sacrifice in exchange, and then suddenly the rook is not defended anymore, let's say after recapture and capture on f1. So about stuff like that, we always need to keep an eye on it. So king to d5, b3, and b3 is actually not really good because it's hard as a chess player, but sometimes you just need to do nothing. Like white can kind of just play the rook back and forth, and then it's black who needs to prove something. Because this pawn I can't attack, it's well defended by the bishop. This pawn is not really easy to attack neither, and you can always play a3. So yeah, I need to prove something. But b3 helps me a lot, and because I can capture and then rook c7 attacks the bishop. And now the question is, where do you go? Because let's say if you go on d2, you just lose the bishop, right? And if you go to b2, then you lose the bishop as well. So these two squares are not possible. And to a1, you really don't want to go. So he decided to go to e1 at the end. So I gave a check, king g3. Now king to d4. The rook has no squares, so bishop f2. Now king c3, and I want to win this pawn, and then I have 2 pawns more. Rook e1, capture, bishop d4, then g6, not to lose the pawn, rook b1, then king c4, attacking the bishop. And here I took quite some time because I was thinking about a tactical pattern that in this position now it's winning the game. You can try to find by yourself when you pause the video. It's actually rook g2 exclamation mark. Why? He has to capture because if he doesn't capture and go away with the king, he just loses the rook, right? So capturing is forced, and this position here, I knew it's winning because yes, the bishops are opposite colored, but my pawns are very strong, and yeah, and it's 2 pawns up, so we will see why it's winning. King f2, king d3, king goes to e1 and bishop c2. And bishop c2 is the important move that we stop white from coming to a1 and stop our pawn. And now we can quite easily march with our pawn, and at the same time we can build here something. Like I will show it to you in the game. h4, a5, h5, capture, capture, a4, h6. Like now the pawns are blocked. Completely okay. No worries about that. a3, bishop f6, a2, and he resigned. So he resigned. So I was really happy with the win. But still, to show you how the game could have continued and why he resigned, he plays this, then I play e3, then e2, something like that. And now I can march with the king here. And yeah, now it doesn't matter what he does, like I will just promote to a queen, and then I still have a lot of material to win. That's why in this position here, he had enough and resigned the game. So it was a good start. in the tournament with an early queen trade, and then was an interesting game. But in the end game, my opponent didn't play very precise, and I could use that for a win. So yeah, with that wonderful start, I wish you a wonderful weekend. Enjoy always your own chess games and stay healthy.